Should have an invite. Hello, hello. Yay, we can see you. Sorry
Sweet. Am I
about that.
looking
That was a little crazy.
good? Can you not hear me fine? I know
Yes,
what
I
happens. I
can
think
hear you.
that's what ends up happening with technology. So I get it.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. Uh, yeah, technology is always
Can you not hear me
fun.
fine, by the way?
Do what?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes, I can hear you
Okay,
just
great.
great. Trying to find,
Awesome. I might need to get a little closer to.
well, I was trying to find, um, where's she at? I don't see her. Crazy. Oh
Oh
my
no, she's not
gosh.
in.
No. I think she's probably on her page or
Hey,
something. Oh no, she hadn't made it over
the
here yet. But I thought I
technical
saw
difficulties
her.
definitely have been.
Right? Welcome to
But,
HumpDay Exchange.
yeah. Oh, I can look through the comments too. I appreciate
Yes.
that, Candice. That means a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just wait. Is this her?
Yeah, this is the first time I've actually done a
Wait.
TikTok live.
Oh no, I don't want to do that. I'm gonna have to send her. Give me half a second, okay? If you wouldn't mind, actually,
Gotcha.
I'm going to go message her. Would you please tell us a little bit about yourself? Because, I mean, I have
Mhm.
several pages front and back about you, but what an
Nice. You
interesting
did your research, huh?
story.
Did some good research.
We have, right. Well, we have somebody who does that for us. She's one of our moderators in here, too. Did an amazing job.
Mhm.
But what I'm learning is, oh my gosh, what an impressive, you know, coming up story to where you're at now. And so, would you mind just taking a couple of minutes and telling us, because 2022, you're graduating OU in May, and then you're a newly elected legislator in November. So, can you just
Yeah, it was kind
help
of
us
crazy.
out? I love it. I love it. I want to hear the full story. So, please.
For sure. Yeah. So I'll kind of introduce myself and a little bit about what I guess eventually led me to pursuing public office. So for those that might not know who I am, so my name's Arturo Alonso. If you want to be authentic with it, it's Arturo Alonso. The R rolling is what gets people sometimes. But I got elected 3 years ago. So in 2022, I got elected, yeah, to serve within House District 89. Just to give you a little bit of background as to my story and how I ended up pursuing public office. I grew up in South Oklahoma City, so I've grown up living in the district I currently represent, which is located within Southside OKC. So the plan for me growing up was always to pursue engineering. So I've always had a huge interest in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, math. I was a huge math nerd. I loved Star Wars. I mean, I still love Star Wars, as well as other just technology based things. So whenever I was going to OU, I knew I wanted to become an engineer. So whenever I went to OU, got my undergrad in mechanical engineering, and throughout my time at OU, because a lot of people were like, "Wait a second, so you're a state representative now? Did you? And you're young. Were you involved in student government, student congress?" But while I was at OU, all I really did was I did a lot of research. So I collected air particles, studied them under a microscope to understand how certain chemicals impacted human health, soil health, water health. So I essentially studied pollutants. I did a lot of work with student organizations, mainly to outreach back to my part of town that is one of the areas in Oklahoma that has the highest populations of families living below the poverty line. So it was it wasn't until my senior year, my last semester at OU, that a group of leaders from the part of town I grew up in reached out to me and they were like, Arturo, we want you to run for office. Like, your community needs you. And at the time, I had already accepted a job in Austin, Texas. I was going to leave the States, be a mechanical engineer down in Austin. And I was just looking for an apartment. And I'm like, well, first off, I have a job lined up and I'm leaving the States. Am I old enough? Am I qualified? Don't you need all sorts of money and connections to run for office? So it was never something I even thought of. I mean, it's not something I ever dreamed of doing. But growing up in the community I grew up in, like I said, one of the largest populations of people living below the poverty line, a lot of just structural barriers. I mean, when we think about the ways government doesn't always serve the community in the best ways, I mean, my community is one of the ones that, I mean, you could see that there was gaps in resources, people struggling to make ends meet. So growing up, I just did a lot of work to volunteer and do things to really benefit my community, never with the intent to run, but with the intent to really just help people. So the people that I did work with that were keeping an eye on me throughout high school, throughout college, were the same people that eventually encouraged me to run for office. And some of those people included Senator Michael Brooks Jimenez, people like Forrest Bennett. He's one of the homies, one of the OGs, and other mentors and people that just cared. So they really encouraged me to run. 2 months after we had that initial conversation is whenever I decided to put my career on pause and pursue running for office. So I was campaigning while I was finishing my last semester at OU, so the University of Oklahoma. So I was, studying for finals during the week, knocking on doors during the week and during the weekends. And I was very much your typical disengaged young person that I was like, you know what? I don't really want to fall within either side of the political spectrum. It seems like both parties aren't really doing great. I would have considered myself an independent at the time. But I cared and I was willing to learn. And I've always been a registered Democrat. So there was a lot of reasons why I decided to kind of put a good engineering job to the side to pursue running for office, which is kind of like throwing yourself in the deep end of the pool and not knowing how to swim. And in the world of politics, there's piranhas, there's sharks, there's people trying to go after you. But I just brought it back to my community. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of needs. And growing up, I had friends that were smart. I mean, they're smart, talented, capable, but they fall through the cracks. And I was lucky because I was driven to really make sure I got an education to try to make the world a better place through engineering. So the opportunity to run for office just kind of fell on my lap. And since then, it's been one of the, I think, best opportunities I've really thrown myself into. Even though at first I was like, man, what am I getting myself into? And to say I threw myself into the political world during and excuse my language, but during a crazy ass time is an understatement. I would have never imagined that we'd be, I think, where we are now. I mean, when we think about national politics, state politics, I wouldn't be anywhere else. And since then, going from 0 to 100 and just anything political, I really want to show more people, especially young people, that like we really need to get involved. We need to have a say in the decisions that we're making right now because like those decisions impact us for, I mean, the rest of our lives, and we got to do something about them.
For sure. Where'd she go?
Oh yeah, no, I kind of saw her for a little bit, and then she kind of disappeared.
I was gonna introduce, hey, Devo Maiden or Elizabeth, and she went away. Hopefully she'll pop right back on. Maybe it's just a problem with connection or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and let me know
I'm
if I ever
here. I
start
don't know
talking a little
how.
too
Oh, I
quick.
thought you were on. Let's try it again. I thought she was up here. Get up here,
There you go.
girl. Okay, can you hear us? Can you talk to us?
Yes.
Yay! All three of us are here. Oh my goodness. I think I clicked something when I
Perfect.
first did it that
Yes.
somehow ended up on some battlefield. I had three people jump on. Hey, are you here to battle? And I'm like, no.
I don't want to
What did
battle.
I do?
My daily life is a battle.
Right. Yes. So yeah.
Well,
So
somebody said I was mean AF today, and I'm like, I'm not today. Okay.
Exactly.
I know.
No, I love that.
Yes.
What an interesting like origin story. And to me, if I read right, currently you are the only actual Gen Z in Oklahoma in office.
Yeah, first and right now only Gen Z, holding it down for my generation.
There you
So
go.
yeah, I mean, so proudly still
We need
serving as
more
the
Gen
youngest
X.
elected member
Yeah.
within our legislature. What was that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So still proudly serving as the youngest member within the legislature here in Oklahoma, one of the youngest in the nation. But I hope I'm excited for the day someone unseats me and being the youngest, because I mean, obviously, I'm always wanting to show young people that we belong in places like the state legislature, Congress, any elected position. We belong there too, and we need to make sure people know we're listening, we're watching, we're making decisions, we're getting involved, all of that.
Yeah. Hearing us, representing us, advocating for us. Um,
All of it. Yeah.
all of
I
the
mean, fighting
things.
for change. I think a lot of people within my generation are hungry for change. We want to see things work better. So I know that's one of the big motivators. People, my peers growing up, seeing them, uh, and talking to a lot of them whenever I was debating whether to run for office or not.
Correct.
I mean, and that goes into so my slogan. A constituent of mine, he came up with this idea, but he's also a Gen Zer. But he gave me the idea of making the slogan, the future is ours, or in Spanish, el futuro es nuestro. So it's kind of that reminder that we need to take ownership of the future because we're the future as young people,
Yep.
and we need to really make efforts to really make sure we have a sustainable future to look forward to.
Right. And it's our job as, I can't believe I can say this, elders, um, to also empower and lift you up because I can semi remember being your age. But it's intimidating, right? Like you're in college, you're doing all the things, and like, hey, run for office, and you're like, what? You know what I
What does
mean?
that
And
even mean?
so, huh?
Mm.
So, but for us to be behind you and support you as well, I think is important. Because I think we forget about that. Like you guys are human, right? And so you still need to have that support. I mean, we come back with like a mom angle, but you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's our job as elders or older people to also, like at least when I say it all the time, it's like, hey, we've done so much for so many years. Great, now it's your turn. So it's our job to lead and teach, hey, these are some things that we went through. And like, so for you to be that person now for like our younger generation, I mean, I would love somebody in high school to look at you and be like, that's what I want to do. That's who I want to be when I grow up. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
You're a pillar in your community.
Well, and I want to
I
say
I'm
love
also
that.
a
something.
Yeah.
cousin girl,
Like
so
I'm Gen X, and coming off the, raised like off of the Woodstock stuff, peace, love, no war, all of those things, to Gorbachev tore down this wall and all that, to now building border walls. My generation, the older generations, right? So like it just baffles my mind, just baffles me that my generation and the boomers have turned to whatever that is. I haven't even been able to identify it fully.
right.
But one of the things that we faced when we were, quote, coming of age to be able to run for office was this staunch opposition. And Gen Xers, like we were trained that if you meet opposition, you run the opposite way and you go do something else because you want to be invisible, otherwise you might get backhanded. So when they told us that they had it, we trusted, like we did not push for our turn. And what I see now is your generation saying, we are not asking for permission. We are going to be stewards of the public resources that all of us share, whether you want to get out of our way or not, and then running those campaigns. And so please keep that up. We even went through your FEC filings to see if there was anything shocking. We're like, It's all green. Like,
No, right? We're like, I told you, him's awesome.
but
No,
you have an interim study, right? That's coming up,
I
or has it
appreciate
already
that.
started? The interim study.
Say that again.
I understand you have an AI interim study, or you have at least one interim study that's either already started or getting ready to start.
Mhm.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we're entering interim study season for the legislature. I think the Senate's already got their start with interim studies, and the House is going to be starting soon. So I filed 4 interim studies, and I was able to get all of them approved, but they merged 2 of the artificial intelligence ones. So I have one interim study on AI, so artificial intelligence specifically within education, and then they kind of merged that one with another AI interim study on ethical use of AI. And so right now within the legislature, I serve on the Government Modernization and Technology Committee, as well as the Utilities Committee. So, and I for short, I call it GovMod and Tech. So Government Modernization and Technology. That's where we hear a lot of the legislation on AI. Anything that deals with technology. So we've heard bills on like crypto, on just anything to update our state systems as well. And artificial intelligence is definitely one of the big things I focus on a lot. So, my background's in mechanical engineering. I did a lot of work programming and trying to understand how to use computer science to make things. And AI is very much one of the big topics that we're going to have to grapple with moving forward. It's not going anywhere. It's going to impact, our the way we teach, the way students learn, the kind of jobs that are available or not available,
right.
because AI is being ingrained everywhere, right? I mean, if you have a cell phone, you have access to AI.
Right.
And
I
I think,
actually was sharing that with Elisa yesterday. I work in community mental health, and that was one of the things that they brought up is like ITs are working on introducing that for us, and we're all like, what? No, like, and they're like, it's all HIPAA compliant, all of the things, but it can like record your interaction with your client and then sum it up and put a note. And they're like, but you can still do your own note. And I'm like, okay, because you hear AI and you automatically are like, either oh that's really cool, or me, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're watching, like what is happening. So I'm excited to see like the actual process, right? Because our world is a trash fire, and so you hear so many different things. You're like, okay, let me take a step back and let me do some research. Let me talk to people that are on these AI committees and like what that actually is going to entail for the state of Oklahoma, um, because it's a lot. And so
yeah,
now we have all this AI, and so then that takes us into now all the data centers, right? These data
exactly.
centers that have to store all our stuff,
Mhm.
taking what 900 acres, hundreds of acres, millions of gallons of water. Like why? For
Yeah,
why? And
yeah,
so, and Elisa and I were talking about that because that also goes into like the Latino and the ICE and the encampments, because it's all interrelated, because they're going to want AI. And of course, now they have to keep track of all of these people, which is also going to go into those data centers. But it's like, why? Like, what are we doing as a state to, what are we doing as a state, and what can we do,
yeah,
as average everyday citizens?
right. No, and you bring up a
Blow
lot
up
of
your
really
phone
good
and knock
points.
on your door.
What was that?
I said, besides blow up your phone and knock on your door.
Right.
I
Well,
know you're in there.
there's a lot people can do. And I mean, y'all are, I think, great examples of that, right? I mean, showing up. And one of the cool things about serving within both the government and tech as well as utilities committee, because utilities is essentially energy. So how we generate energy, the kind of energy we build. So are we going to choose fossil fuels, or are we going to choose renewables like wind and solar? Because all of that is very much intertwined, like you mentioned. The kind of AI that we integrate into everything is going to
Mhm.
need to, like, where do we store that data? So then we build more data centers that require more energy and water.
Mhm.
And I mean, water is very much one of those things that's only going to continue to be a bigger issue because, we're contaminating it, we're using it all up. Western Oklahoma is going through nasty droughts. Eastern Oklahoma, we're polluting our waters and building a bunch of data centers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot with that, and then yeah, you bring in the component of the federal government. I specifically using
Right.
AIs like Palantir, which is this big kind of AI contractor that does a lot of work for the
It's
Department of Defense.
horrifying.
Yeah, no, it's crazy the amount of things that they're able to do. But they use that mainly for defense, right? For national security. But they're using it to target people. And I mean, when you look at the data of the people being detained, the majority aren't violent criminals. Maybe they have a small traffic offense, but because we have a president that, or there is a president. I don't like to claim ownership over that guy,
Right, right. I'm
but
like,
the,
there is a president.
yeah, no, there's a president that just wants to the immigrant community is an easy scapegoat to instill fear in his base and keep people engaged. Because that is, I mean, fear is one of those tools that, I mean, right now, I mean, the people in power are using to deceive the masses. And whenever, yeah, I mean, and it's easy to divide people and put them up against each other. And at the end of the day, we're just harming ourselves
Yeah.
as a nation, as a state, because being someone that is close to many immigrant communities within Oklahoma and nationally, I mean, you see the benefits that communities like those bring to our state and nation, right? Through the taxes they pay, through the money they spend, through the culture they. I was getting a call, so it's tough to see it because I mean, I don't think it's going to get any better. It will eventually pass, and I hope that sooner rather than later we're looking back at this time and we're like, man, like what the heck did we let happen?
Right, right. Yeah, like what did we let happen? Like, and
Yeah.
how is this continuing to go on?
We're fighting tooth and nail over here. I mean, we're creating coalitions left and right for,
Like for real.
for civic, you name it. Like
Yep.
we're done. I
And
think,
so we're actively, I'm glad you said that because we're literally actively taking on volunteers because we have just expanded so fast and we have to get that word out. Like we have to let Oklahomans know, like, hey, the stuff is really, it's not a matter of if, it's when. And it's about to really hit the fan. And are you prepared? And so being able to do like the greenhouse projects or like we have like the call to action where we just get up and like show up. And so, a few of my teammates were able to go to the different town halls. What was it, Sayre and Watonga, just to check stuff out because we care about Oklahoma. Our state is worth fighting for. Like, I love my state. I don't love the state that it's in right now.
Yeah.
But, our state is worth fighting for.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, we're in the bottom of everything right now. And it's makes me really sad.
Yeah. And one way I like to frame it, I mean, because when it comes to issues in education and healthcare, access to healthcare, mental health care, because we're so unfortunately bad in a lot of things,
oh,
there's I know within politics, we're always trying to fight to make things better for people. And in places like Oklahoma, where we are 50th in the nation in education, I mean, that means we're in the front lines. We're as worse as it gets, and it only goes up from here. Because I have friends in other states, right, in blue states, places like California, Illinois, New York, and the conversations they have within their legislatures are completely different. They're like, wait, because over there, I mean, I think people have a general understanding. Okay, yeah, people have basic human rights, and we need to respect that. Here in Oklahoma, we have to fight for those rights every day.
Every day. Every day.
I mean, we started with the 3,000 bills that was introduced opening day, this legislation, and SB 484. Like, just the audacity to say we don't want it in our city, so nobody should have it in our state except these two cities. I started calling it the murder the unhoused bill.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
Lisa Standridge's bill. I
okay,
just
I remember
was
that
like
now.
a moral obligation. So she is my second cousin's wife, and he was in
Wow.
office first, right? And so just one day I was laying in bed, and like my great grandma just like possessed me and said, no, get up, fight back. And so I was like, okay, let's do this, and we just kind of jumped in there and have been doing it ever since. Candace
Yeah.
says we need someone to fight for our female veterans to get full health care, including abortion care. And is there anything like from the state that y'all can do to help veterans in our state or to help? We know that if we could flip this state and get some reasonable human beings in office that was willing to actually listen to what should be, oh, I don't know, the right to determine what happens in your body, like manifest destiny, baby. The
Yeah.
essential is your body. If you can't manifest your own destiny within your own body, what are we here for, right?
Right.
So, what from I mean, we know right now it's tough, and we're working hard to try and find, Democratic and humanity leaning candidates to run for more state offices to help flip the state over.
Yeah.
But what could the legislators do to help with like veterans, or again with the women's thing? We know like y'all can, it's a law that y'all can just boop, right? But with the veteran stuff, because it's mostly federal, how would that actually play out, or could it even play out with our state doing anything?
Yeah. Oh, well, there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, every level of government is important and can really influence any issue, and then that includes veterans issues. And we do see challenges with veterans accessing resources, especially within healthcare, within just the resources that they deserve, given that they're putting their lives at risk to protect our nation. So we should be willing to put in all the resources to support those individuals. And it is a matter of what the priorities are within the legislature, right? I mean, and that's within any level of government. Like, what are the priorities? Who are the people talking about these things? Because oftentimes you see people that, maybe they say like, I'm for veterans, like we're going to do the best we can. They say that, but they don't always back it up with actions. So I think it's important to go back and really, like, I always like to think back, we need people to engage. There's a lot of, like, I think everyone to a certain extent cares and wants to see something just become better, especially within the VA. But we got to care enough to want to, start building those relationships with people at the Capitol. Just remind legislators, like, hey, like, we're watching, like, we're veterans. This is our story. This is why we care. So like, showing that sense of credibility, right? One thing I always share with people is that the messenger matters. So who that person that's showing up, like that story that they bring. And whenever you bring a veteran that, might have fought in wars, maybe they sustained some kind of like bodily like injury. There's a lot of veterans that are, physically, they might have a physical disability, maybe a mental disability after they've served. So many that are, now homeless, and it's sad to see that. And that's just a constant reminder that we're not doing enough, and we could always do more. So when we think about, SB 484 that you mentioned, that is just incredibly just not the best approach to help the unhoused, help the people that need the most support. Like, even though that doesn't say veterans on it, I mean, that's veterans that they're hurting. Whenever, a municipality, a city can't build a homeless shelter, that just means that, like, as humans, we have basic human needs. We need shelter, we need security, we need food. And cities recognize the needs that their own city has. So why is the state telling a city like, oh, you can't build that, even though you might know you need it, but people need to. I'd say when it comes to the people, people have a lot of power, and we need to use our power, like, to show up, to vote. I know one of the big challenges with any issue, just in general, is apathy. Just getting people to care enough to do something about it. Not just post, right? Not just share something on social media, but actually, once you've made the posts, once you've showed up to the rally, you have to back it up with I think sustainable actions like voting, like getting informed, education is power, and showing up and building those relationships.
Now, when organizations plan a day there, right? We're like, here's this one issue or whatever, and then we bring people to help them navigate the hall, so to speak. Um, do you think overall it's because a lot of us have, well, I don't, I'm lucky, but I have like Julia Kurt as one of mine. So, I'm a lucky one. Um, but a lot of us have these staunch, um, like, I don't even know what to call them anymore because it's just so off the charts half the time, um, that they don't even want to listen to their constituents, right? And so people are feeling like, why bother, right? Why bother when
Yeah.
we've been, going up there, we've been emailing, we've been calling because they always tell us the same thing. I mean, we've dealt with this as the federal level, right? With Cole and Lankford and Mullins and Vice. Doesn't matter how many emails, phone calls we make. It's yeah, bite me. Here's your form letter. Go away, right? So people have started getting really disenfranchised, and we've been trying because what I've witnessed, I think what our team has witnessed within the Oklahoma Democratic Party anyway, is this push to be available to help regular Oklahomans, whether they are their constituents or not, at least begin to understand the process, to be able to go, through all of the things, and also encouraging people to run and vote and do all of the things. And yet there's like still this disenfranchisement, but huge disenfranchisement now. And to us, that means we push harder, right? Like you just go harder. But is there any other real things that they could do other than, again, beating the same
Right.
horse that always says, bite me, I'm going to vote how my oligarchs tell me to, you know? You know what I mean? Because we have them here too. Like, don't get us wrong. Oklahoma has oligarchs, and they are on proud parole of taking
Yeah.
over a lot of stuff and a lot of spaces. So how can us as ordinary, citizens of the state be heard by these people who could care less about most of their constituents?
Yeah. No, and that's a good point because you're right. I mean, we can do the traditional things of voting and stuff, and oftentimes legislators won't listen. Um, and I think, and there's no silver bullet, but I do think it's important. In thinking about Oklahoma specifically, right? We're an incredibly conservative state. We have 101 members in the House, 81 are Republicans, 20 are Democrats. Um,
Gerrymandering at its finest,
yeah,
sir.
yeah, and similar demographic in the Senate, right?
Mm-hmm.
48
I
total
still can't
members.
believe that your district does not technically include Capitol Hill.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah. I don't know
I,
much
I just,
about
it
that
blows me
redistricting
away that
happened
it's
before me.
yeah, but it's so gerrymandered
Mm-hmm.
to, in my opinion, done that way to limit the predominantly Hispanic voices in those neighborhoods. And I gotta say, I love Forrest now that I've gotten to know him.
It's a good
But
dude.
initially, I was like, no,
I
what,
was like, I told her, I
what?
said, no, dude, no, you will love him.
Mhm.
So she gave him a
I
chance.
did not believe that at all until I sat in on one of the committee meetings, and him and Munson was just giving him hell with the questions, and I was like, oh my god, who's that guy? No way, that's the guy that's
No,
that district,
he's a
because
good
it's
dude. Yeah.
also Valley Brook, right? So
Yeah, Valley Brook as
those
well.
two districts as one is a lot of like, I just
Well, I mean, pretty much
cannot.
downtown. So like where your Scissortail Park is,
Yeah.
Stadium. to Capitol Hill or Calle dos Cinco to Valley Brook. Yeah. So I mean, his we're neighboring districts. So yeah, and I definitely
Right.
see that.
And y'all work really well together. And I'm
Yes.
very, very
Yeah.
grateful for our, again, the entire ODP, from what I have seen, everybody who's in office has just been amazing at working together, both on the House side and the Senate side, in
Mhm.
helping, trying to help us help you, I guess is what I would
Yeah.
say, because it does take all of us. Is there anything that you are working on that you're excited about, or that you want to get out there? I mean, we talked a little bit about your interim study, but is there anything, other projects or bills that you're going to be looking at in the next session? I know it's a little early for that, but
Yeah, no, but we're already starting to think about all of that. Yeah, so, and there's a lot of bills I'm thinking about. Some of them a little bit more on the extreme side, or others are more like, you know what, we try to get this done. Because my bills range from trying to uh, essentially have the polluters pay. So, and that means like insurance companies, because everyone's Oklahoma, y'all. We have the highest homeowners insurance rates in the nation. The only other state I think that is near us is Florida, which makes sense because they're that peninsula that gets hit by
Yes.
hurricanes all the freaking time. We got tornadoes, we got wildfires, we got a lot. I mean, a crazy amount of unplugged wells. But and a lot of that's due to oil and gas companies deceiving the public and saying, you know what, you know, climate change isn't real. They're saying that what they're doing is they're not causing earthquakes. The fracking isn't causing earthquakes. The data shows that those things are happening because of activity. Extracting the minerals from the soil. And I'm not saying completely stop oil and gas because it's something that we use, right? I still pump gas in my truck, but right now we're paying. We're paying for the damages. We're paying for the through higher insurance rates. Schools. So there's schools. I mean, schools have to have property insurance as well, right? Because if a storm hits, they have to make sure that they can pay and fix the damages and keep the school going and teach the kids. But schools are having to pay higher insurance rates, higher premiums, meaning, and we're not giving them more money as a state.
Right. Oh, you muted again.
Fund this program, fund the band kids, fund the sports, or am I going to pay this higher insurance rate? So they're going to have to cut stuff. As homeowners, we have to buy materials that can really endure the weather because weather's only, I mean, if you look at the weather trends, every summer is only getting hotter. Every year we're breaking records. Last year we broke records when it came to the amount of tornadoes we've had in a year.
I remember
And that goes back to the amount of money we spent, fix up our property, the insurance we pay for our car, for our home. And that just makes it harder for us because we're not making more money. We
Right.
kicked back raise the minimum wage, and hopefully it comes. So that's one of the more bills that it's going to be tough to pass that in a place like Oklahoma, but at the very least it starts a conversation and it shows people like, hey, this it shows people that like the way we have it shouldn't be the norm. The oil and gas industry, given that they are damaging and causing a lot of what we're having to endure, but they're not paying for it. We are.
Right.
So that's kind of the message I'm bringing with that. I'm working with some high school kids to create the Oklahoma Youth Advisory Council, which is essentially trying to bring more young voices into the legislative making process. And it would be essentially an opportunity for young people to come to the Capitol, build relationships with just anyone that works, from your legislator to the staffers, to understand how the process works, use that knowledge, use those relationships that they've built, because ideally it's students from across the state, to then write their own bill. And it would be a bill that ideally, they'll have resources from the Capitol during the interim, whenever we're not really doing much at the Capitol. But the students will be there learning, engaging with stakeholders, and choosing a bill idea to work on, and then actually drafting the bill to then hand off to a legislator. And then once they've completed that, understood the process, they've built the relationships, they've written the bill, and it's like an actual bill that, like I said, they hand off to a legislator. Then they become the advocates for that bill. So once they've handed it off to the legislator, then they follow it through the legislative process, right, from committee to floor to ideally getting signed by the governor. So that's one of the bills that I'm working on. Like I said, a group
I
of high
mean,
school
that kind
students.
of sounds like the Oklahoma intercollegiate legislation for college, right? So
Exactly, but this is high school. Yeah.
right, and I did that in college back in, I think I worked with Bill Nations back in '04 and actually wrote a bill from
Mhm.
when I did the intercollegiate legislation. And those connections and learning that process, super helpful for anybody. But to do that in high school then brings a whole nother level of interest into actual, writing and being involved in the legislative process. Back when I was younger, it was built like legislators were still kind of seen, at least at the state level, as public stewards of our state resources. And we've gotten so far away from that, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're leaders, but where are they leading us?
Mhm.
50th in education is not where we want to be led, right? But stewarding our resources, which includes people are
Mhm.
resources too.
Yeah.
And so trying to get back into that and then doing it like that is brilliant at a high school level, because I know a lot of people when I was in high school that was interested in politics, but by the time they got into college, it was completely different because nobody ever welcomed them. There was
Yeah.
never space for them, even at the city council level in small towns. There wasn't really a space for them to be behind the scenes like that.
Mhm.
So that's awesome. I hope that passes because that would really be helpful, I think, in bringing up the next generations of leaders for our state. So that's great.
I saw
Yeah, that's
somebody
really the
put
goal.
said that we need that for adults too. I was actually just going to ask that because I was like,
Right.
hey, I'd like to have a refresher course, and I don't think I've ever fully had a tour of the Capitol.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are y'all familiar with Joe Dorman with the Oklahoma Child Institute? Well, he has a
Joe
training
Dorman
session.
was in office when he was the first politician I met at the intercollegiate legislation. It was
Okay,
his first session, I believe. He had just been elected. And so he came out and welcomed us.
nice.
So, yeah,
That's
love
awesome.
him. What's he up to now?
So
Oh,
he every year he has a training for just people to, and it's like a boot camp on like the legislature, on like you understand what a legislator does, how the legislative process works, the nuances within the state capitol. Because if you're not in there doing it, seeing it, I mean, it's hard to really know what's going on sometimes.
right.
But also like understanding, he brings in lobbyists. They talk about what they do, different stakeholders that do political work. But it's a very like holistic, elaborate training session for the general public. I think you have to sign up. He only really does it once or twice during the year, and it's like a 3-day boot camp.
Oh, okay. Like even for adults,
Yeah, it's for everyone.
I think that'd be really cool. I mean, Schoolhouse Rock only goes so far.
It does, huh? Yeah.
Injunction, junction, your function. So listen, so Candace brought up a point too. So when we're talking about, like having the highest insurance rates in the nation next to Florida, because of course that fits. But even our auto insurance, like I moved from, hoity-toity over there by the Greens, and now I'm over here by the Capitol, and my insurance went up $60, and so did my son's. And I was like, let me just go ahead and put that back to the old address then. You know what I mean? I was like, how is it? Wow. Like, are those things? I'm glad that she brought that. Like, I know that Carrie Hicks, like prescription medication costs, is that kind of like her thing. Like,
Yeah.
is when we talk about insurance rates, is that something like we could call you and be like, hey, I feel like we need to ruffle some feathers.
I mean, I'm happy to. I do. So there are legislators that are more focused on specifically insurance. Me, I bring up insurance through the lens of environmental impact of polluters.
Yes.
But our insurance experts, I mean, Boris Bennett, Ellen Hefner,
Oh, Ellen's
there's I mean, there's a whole insurance committee that we have in the Capitol. Those I think would be the ideal people to start with. Uh,
absolutely.
I Going back to what one of y'all mentioned earlier, a lot of these issues are very interconnected
Yes.
because the insurance rate, like I mentioned, impacts access to certain educational resources. So impact education, they impact healthcare, they impact the environment, impacts everything.
Yeah.
So it's all interconnected, and that's why my approach is probably going to be trying to uh, find a way to slow down the increase of insurance rates because by going after the polluters like the oil and gas company
Yeah.
industry. So yeah, but it's definitely something I care about. Andy Fugate, though, he has an interim study on specifically homeowners insurance coming up.
I'm sorry, who does? I
Andy.
missed that.
Andy
Oh,
Fugate.
okay. Oh,
Mhm.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I
We got
remember
him
from
coming on later in the series too.
nice. Yeah.
So we need to make sure we have a question for him specifically about that stuff. Now, you also are on the A and B Natural Resources
Mhm.
Subcommittee. Okay, so and I know Stacy asked about the data centers, which you touched on a little bit earlier.
I'll let
Um,
her know that. Um,
but Lawton has a refinery. Don't know if you've kept up with the fight down there. Indigenous led because they're polluting their waters, their soil, all of that.
Yeah.
Muskogee, same exact thing with the
Is that the one
refinery and
on
cobalt.
critical minerals, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then now they're talking about opening up some more mines, including one of our tribes, which just is blowing my mind right now. I'm Choctaw, and I just like, please stop. You know, um,
right.
how does it make sense to go in and just take all of the resources, the right, at one time, right? I mean, basically, this is what it feels like to me. We're going in, I'm going to use the word graping Mother Earth
Yeah.
for her innards. And then it's not even a supply and demand thing, right? Like we are overtaking. And I don't know, it doesn't feel very sustainable to me. It feels like a lot of things are unstable because of these things. And we talked about like the fracking and stuff like that, which I think also goes hand in hand. If you're injecting things and then you're taking things out, that creates these pockets underneath. We don't have the science that we do have tells us those are bad things to do in mass, right?
Yeah.
And yet here we are, even in our own state. So like from a committee standpoint or a subcommittee standpoint on that, how does that reconcile like the over of it? Like, is there a balance that we can go? Because obviously we need some natural resources,
Yeah.
but is there some sort of balance from a legislative perspective that we can
Yeah.
equalize instead of all of it? Because it feels like the yin and yang, like constant up down stuff. I don't know how
Yeah.
to
I
say
mean, with
that.
that, there's money to be made, right? So there's
Right.
companies out there that recognize that someone will buy the product. So they will buy the cobalt, the lithium, the whatever critical minerals that they're looking for. So in a lot of these companies, I mean, that's their goal, right? Like, how can we maximize the amount of profits we can make? And whether we do it on indigenous land, whether we destroy the environment, whether we pollute the water, uh, they're not going to care. And with the changes to the EPA, the deregulation of so many different things, it's just easier and cheaper for them to do it because now they don't have to track certain things or account for other things. So there's money to be made. They're going to want to do it because it makes, like I said, it makes them money. They can
Right.
sell that product. And I mean, there is a lot of conversations being had about, like the data centers that are coming up, things like batteries that we need. I know one bill, so I have an interim study as well on critical mineral recovery. Um, and mine focuses, so I'm running a bill called the Battery Stewardship Act. When we think about mining, right, we think about the mining that you mentioned, right, when we're virgin mining. So we're mining raw material from the ground, digging the holes. But there's also mining materials that are already in the supply chain. So when you think about a battery, right, that's on in your phone, laptop, the AA, AAA batteries, those batteries have lithium, magnesium, cobalt, all the different materials that you need to make a battery. You can mine those materials from used batteries, and Oklahoma actually has the potential to be a leader in that. Up in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, we have a company called Blue Whale Materials that is going to be opening sometime this year. And they are where batteries go to essentially get torn up and ground up into a material that then gets separated. So then another company, also within Oklahoma, we're the only state that has that actually. They take the ground up material, right? And then they separate it. They separate the cobalt, and then you have like 99 point something percent cobalt. Then you have your magnesium, your lithium, your graphite, and they sell that to the battery producers. So rather than having a linear system, right, where the manufacturer, the producer, they mine the materials, they make the batteries, they sell them. A consumer like us uses them and then throws them away. That's a very linear process, right? It's not sustainable. The bill that I'm introducing, and hopefully with the help of some Republicans, I'm trying to make it bipartisan, is making sure that producers have a responsibility for the end of life of that product. And that incentivizes them to design products to be more recyclable, to use materials that are less harmful, and establish essentially a way for consumers to make it as easy as possible for us to recycle those batteries. Because the more those batteries get recycled, the more materials we can recollect, and the more materials these companies that are already within the state of Oklahoma can bring back into the supply chain. And like I said, Oklahoma can be a leader at that, so that we don't have to just mine raw virgin materials. We can use the ones that are already being used.
Brilliant.
That's sustainable design, y'all.
That's good. We're all
Do you
about
have a date for that study? Sorry.
Yeah, so
Elizabeth.
I should have dates for all of them. So my interim study on critical minerals, and we're bringing in people. So another reason, we want to protect our waste workers. If you dispose of a battery that still has electricity in it, it has the potential to catch fire. Tulsa had one of the biggest fires in the state because their recycling facility caught fire because of a used battery. And they had to pay $12 million to get that thing fixed. So the interim study for critical minerals, man, I'd have to check actually. I think it's October 6th. October 6th.
I'm going to have to look at that. I'll find it. I'll find it.
I did see that you're doing some stuff. I thought Julie posted on our little town halls remember when we were going up to the Capitol like once a week or every other week? Oh, I'm looking at Elisa. She don't know. Because she was
the new whatever schedule.
Like this thing, but with the representatives.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
we're in the peanut gallery.
Right.
Okay, so you'll get that, and I'll get the ones from Julia. Because we will go to all the things. Well, you already know I will.
Yeah,
it's the cutest thing because even your brother comes up to me now, and he's like, "How's our little advocate?" And I'm like, "I'm right here."
Right.
Y'all are both killing it. Okay, so if people wanted to find out more about you or people in your district need to find email, phone call, and then how else can we the people help you with what you're trying to do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can follow me on social media, I'm working on trying to hire some interns to help me with social media. I think one of the anomalies I am when it comes to my generation is I do not like social media at all. Mainly because I feel like now I'm very hyper aware of data privacy and the way these big tech companies, we sign contracts with them for them to essentially have ownership of our data. And then they do what they want with it. They sell it, and that's how they make their profit. So they mine us for information.
Yeah.
When we think about mining, right? Mining us for information. That is like oil. But follow me on social media. Please reach out if there's anything that you think could help, because legislators, we're still human beings. We still have a lot to learn. If there's any legislator out there that tells you that they're the smartest person in the world in whatever issue, they are wrong. We, like anyone else, are not perfect. We don't know everything, and that's why we need the support of the community. So, I mean, going back to your question about what can people do, if there's a legislator that might not be your legislator, that aligns with what you care about, with your issues, give that person arsenal. Like, give them the ammo to go against your legislator if you don't agree with what they got going. Like, hey, like, I know you care about the environment. I know you care about healthcare, education. Here's what I've learned. Here's what I know. Here's something that can really help you maybe create an argument against this bill that this other guy's running. That helps us out a lot, because we, like, one of the toughest things to really get a hold of is time. We don't have time for so many things. We want to do so much, but we still, outside of the legislature, which is a part-time legislature, we have families, we have our personal lives, we have our other jobs, because that's what some of the other people have, the kids. So if people can feed us or like send us information that could be helpful, I mean, that does go a long way.
Awesome. Good to know. Yeah. Okay. Well, I know I, for one, will be getting in touch, because there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about legislatively, maybe helping to either sponsor or co-sponsor a couple bills. We got to take back our state, yeah. We've got to do whatever we can.
And I'm glad you said that. We do have to take our state, and this is why local elections matter.
So much more. Yeah.
This is why they matter so much. And so, like, if you're just checking that box because it's red or blue, research your candidates, because there's been red dots that I voted for in the past. But when I moved back to Oklahoma, we were 17th in education.
Yeah. And if y'all can, I mean, I know we have the state question 832 open primaries. I am supportive of that. I think that'll help Oklahoma become more moderate. I know sometimes, like, people are like, oh no, we don't need that. I'm like, that'll help moderate our elections without a doubt. It'll give more people a voice. It'll give more people the ability to vote in districts where maybe they, as a Democrat in the super conservative district, they maybe don't have a candidate to vote for. So that'll help a lot. And that, I know, once it's time, like, they're going to need a lot of help. Registering people to vote, getting them informed about the state question, getting people to sign the petition, all of that. So there's issues out there left and right, and you just got to find what you care about and really just do what you can to make a difference.
Right. And I'm finding that representative, like you said, that cares about the same, whether it's yours or not, that cares about the same things that you do. Like, I love that, because I talk to all of the people. I mean, I'm biased, but you know what I mean? But that's why. So I can see, like, okay, this representative is his thing, and like Carrie's is, prescription drugs, and I got Julia with mental health. So, you know what I mean? Like, and it all ties in. So, like, we really appreciate you guys, like, always being there, regardless if you're our representatives or not.
100%.
I think somebody hurt some of our Republican representatives because they're mean.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with those guys.
There's a couple of them. I'm like, who hurt you, man? Like, who hurt you?
Yeah.
So we need to get mom hugs up there to just give them a nice big mom hug.
Right? Yeah.
Betty, like, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, awesome.
We appreciate you coming on. Was there anything that you wanted to cover that we didn't cover? Do you have any questions? Like, anything that you want to convey, whatever?
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I think it's just like, we need to get involved. I think that's one of the big things that it goes back to, just get involved in whatever way. There's no silver bullet. There's no one way to make things better. Like, all of us have a role to play. All of us have a responsibility, and we need to act. That's one of the big things because we don't have enough people doing the work. Um, what that work is, I mean, I think you'll find what's best for you and for the issue you care about. But just get involved. Just do something, you know.
Right. And like,
'Cause people care. And I think we just got to find the enough care to just want to make a difference. So it's
I love that.
simple. Like I said, there's no silver bullet. There's countless issues to focus on and talk about. But we just need people engaged.
definitely.
We're working on that too.
No, y'all definitely are. Y'all are some of
Actively
the best.
working
So
on that as we speak. Yes, that's why like we're actively looking for more volunteers because this has just expanded so much and there's so many things going on at all the same time that it has been like, okay, what's your niche? Great. What's your niche? And so that way, then we can all come together and go, great, how do our niches mesh? Okay, great. Well, then now we got to call Representative Arturo. We got to go. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's finding that niche and then all joining together so that we're not stressed out with, oh my God, the world is a trash fire and, you know, all at one time. So that's,
Right.
I just kind of have to focus on one thing right now or I start crying.
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
no, because if you try to focus on everything, you're gonna go insane. So
I can't.
find that one or two, maybe three things that you really, really care about,
Mhm.
and just hone in and focus on that. So, that's
Well,
it. I mean, I think we
thank
covered
you
everything else.
so
Thank you
much for
so
joining
much.
us on here.
Yeah, thank you so
Sorry,
much.
Elizabeth.
No. I was saying, you know, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, this has been great. Like, we really appreciate you coming on. This will not be the first time that we ask you to do this. You know, it's just going to be, because, you know, we got elections coming back up. So we got to keep you on the
Yeah.
forefront. You know, remember this face, remember this name, like he's on your side. And we want to keep that going, not just for us, but for you guys as well, because we want you in office. We want you where you're at so that you can defend us and you can work for us, you know, and be the kryptonite to their Superman or whatever.
We got Superman. We're
Right.
the Superman. I don't know if you have seen the new Superman movie, but I was like, man, like that. Like it's like I'm seeing what's going on in the real world because they were like, yeah, we're gonna go after that alien. I was like, oh shoot. Okay. That's the hero. So
Well,
All right.
thank you so very much. We appreciate you coming on. Tell your colleagues we still have a couple of open slots if they want to come, but we're filling up fast. I can't believe we've almost filled up the whole schedule
Yeah.
for the year already. It's just amazing. So,
That's right. I was going to tell you to tell Forrest to check his emails.
there you go. That's the one we're
And Carrie
missing. I
Hicks
knew there was a
used to answer her
specific.
email too.
If y'all are watching, no.
No, I got Andy Fugate. I was like, dude, I sent you 2 emails where I was following him around. You want me to apply to pull it up for you? Let me send you a link. Yeah, because this is important. Like, this is our
It is.
home. This is important, and people need to see and hear you so that they, you know, here's the full story. Here's the big picture. So I'm so glad you came on so much. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Yeah.
This has been great. I've just had like the biggest pleasure, like meeting you back in 21 or 22, and then now here we are, 3-4
Right.
years later. This is awesome. This
This
is
is
really
pretty
awesome.
awesome. So,
Thank
no,
you.
and thank y'all for the work you continue to do. It really matters a lot, and it's one of those things that continues to motivate the work we do, right? Because sometimes, man, whenever you're going at going at it at the Capitol with members, it's like, man, like this is it's not easy. It's not easy, but
Defeating sometimes. You're like,
yeah. But when we know that there's people backing us up, whenever we know who we're working for, it just makes it that much more meaningful. And we need those reminders sometimes. Because, like I said,
I love it.
we're people
Love it.
that.
all right. Well, we will see you later. I'm sure. Hopefully, we'll see you next Thursday. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
And
Yeah,
keep
that's been a
fighting the
pleasure.
fight.
And
Thank
keep
y'all.
fighting the fight, and we are going to continue to back you 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Hey,
Thank
Thanks.
let's
you.
keep it
Have a
going.
good night, everybody.
You too.
Y'all too.
Bye. Where's this go here?